brand new polling is showing that Donald Trump is surging in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because Donald Trump is surging in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right. Despite what everyone's saying about the election, these polls suggest that at the bare minimum, Pennsylvania is a 50-50 state, which is not a surprise. I mean, come on, it's Pennsylvania. Obviously, it's going to be a very close election. But everyone was claiming that Trump was secretly down by 15 points in Pennsylvania, that he was going to lose the election. Well, these polls suggest no. At the bare minimum, it's 50-50. With some of the polls showing Trump's actually having a small lead, like insider polling, which did drop a couple days ago, but they found Trump +2. And Insider Advantage is a very good pollster. Are they perfect? No. But right now, they have Trump up by a couple points. Okay, it's only one poll. Emerson. Yeah, Emerson found Trump with a small lead. It's only a 1-point lead, but it's another pollster that's not bad. I mean, some people are going to claim that Emerson's a far-right pollster. Same thing with Insider Advantage. They're not. Emerson and Insider Advantage, they're good pollsters, and right now, they found Trump +1 and Trump +2. Hell, Marist. Yes. The same Marist that back in 2020 was claiming Trump was down everywhere, he was going to lose in a landslide. They now found Trump tied in Pennsylvania. And in fact, I believe if you look at the internals, it's actually a Trump lead. Yeah, that's what Marist found. Of all pollsters, this is from Marist. This isn't from Trafalgar. This isn't from some far-right news organization. No, this is Marist/NPR. They are a left-leaning pollster, and they found the race, at best, tied for Harris. Okay, let's keep going. The Washington Post. Yes, the same pollster that back in 2020 claimed Trump is going to win Wisconsin by 17 points. Right now, they found Trump tied with Harris in Pennsylvania. And with a full field, it's, Harris +1, but either way, the Washington Post found a statistically tied race, just like Marist. And you could argue just like even Emerson or even Insider Advantage. Which, by the way, the Washington Post and Marist, they lean to the left. So if they're admitting that Trump is actually tied with Harris in Pennsylvania, more than likely, that probably means he's up by 2 or 3. I'm not trying to say that's for sure going to happen, but these pollsters have track records of understating Trump by a couple points at the bare minimum. But when you go to the RCP average, you would think, oh, with Trump being tied with Marist, tied in the Washington Post, up with Emerson, up with Insider Advantage, you would think the RCP average would be Trump +1, or even like Trump +0.5. Well, it's not. Right now, it's Harris +1. And you could probably tell why it's Harris +1. There were 4 pollsters that dropped Harris leads. And not just Harris +1, Harris +3, Harris +3, Harris +4, even Harris +5. Talk about outliers. While everyone else has the race tied or a small Trump lead, these garbage polls found Harris up by some miracle, 3 to 5 points. And take a guess who these polls are. Quinnipiac, the New York Times, Suffolk, Franklin, and Marshall. The same trash pollsters that does this every single year. I mean, seriously, Quinnipiac, how do you find Harris +5 in Pennsylvania? How? How is that even possible? I'm being dead serious. How is it possible when everyone else, even Franklin and Marshall, found Harris +3? And for those that don't know, Franklin and Marshall is a trash pollster. You could argue they might be the worst pollster of these 4. But even they found Harris up by only 3. So you could argue, well, maybe within the margin of error, which is 4 points, it could be a Trump lead. But what's the excuse for Quinnipiac or even the New York Times? I mean, how do you find Harris +4, Harris +5 right now? When everyone else, even the Washington Post or even Franklin and Marshall, they're finding the race, within the margin of error. That's what they're finding. But you found Harris up by 4 or 5 points? You're telling me that not a single person at the New York Times or Quinnipiac looked at this poll and said to themselves, hey, maybe we should redo this poll. Maybe we should conduct more surveys because this doesn't seem right. You're telling me that not a single person said that. What a pile of crap. But either way, there's 4 other polls that dropped that found Trump either slightly ahead or in a statistical tie with Harris. I just can't believe that the same pollsters that pull this crap every year, they're doing the same thing yet again. And people began to look inside of the Quinnipiac and New York Times poll, and they realized quickly, oh god, this is a bad poll. Like, the New York Times had like a D+1 electorate. They were claiming that Biden actually won Pennsylvania by 7 back in 2020. Yeah, their sample was like a Biden +7 sample. You can't make this up. And Quinnipiac had Trump losing seniors by like 3. He was up with the white vote by only 1. It was a joke. And I even think the New York Times, they claim that the electorate's only like 60% white in Pennsylvania, which is just crazy. But that's Quinnipiac and the New York Times. They do this crap every single year. And by the way, the New York Times, by some miracle, found the race at the national level tied. Yet they found Harris up by 4 in Pennsylvania? I can understand, oh, maybe it's a tied race in Pennsylvania and then Trump's tied in the popular vote. I guess you could argue that's a possibility. But Harris +4 in Pennsylvania doing 3 points better than Biden? That is bullcrap. That's not going to happen. And for those that don't believe me that these are bad polls, back in 2020, Franklin and Marshall claimed Biden was going to win Pennsylvania by 6. Which, by the way, back in 2016, their final poll was Clinton +11. Yeah, they claimed a couple days before Election Day that Clinton was going to win Pennsylvania by 11 points. She lost it by roughly 1 point. They were off by 12, and in 2020, they were off by roughly 5 points. You can't make this up, and let's look at other pollsters. Let's see here. You scroll down here, oh yeah, New York Times, Biden +6, Quinnipiac, Biden +7. Yeah, these same polls, even the ABC News / Washington Post, and I know you could argue that's a different pollster, but the Washington Post was involved with this poll, and they found Biden up by 7. Yeah, so you're telling me that these same polls that were off by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points back in 2016, back in 2020, they're finding Harris up by 3 or 4 points, maybe 5. Which really suggests that Harris is running far behind Biden or even Clinton at the same point, because these same polls that have Harris up by 3 or 4, back in 2020 and 2016, Biden and Clinton were winning these polls by a lot more. Hell, Trump was not even leading in virtually any poll. I don't think there was one poll back in 2016. There might have been a couple, like 1 or 2, but yeah, there was 2 polls out of Pennsylvania, or actually just 1 in the final month of the election that had Trump winning Pennsylvania, and that was Trafalgar. In 2020, you had a couple, but outside of that, it was mostly Biden +6, Biden +7, Biden +10, not Biden +2, not Biden +1. It was mostly just huge leads for Joe. And I decided, you know what? Let's compare these polls from 2020 to right now. And I found something very interesting. When you take the same polls, such as Emerson, they found Trump right now up by a point. Compared to their same poll back in 2020 in Pennsylvania, I noticed a very fascinating trend. Trump is doing better in every single poll in the RCP average compared to 2020. Not just one of them, not just 2 of them, every single one of them shows a shift towards Trump. Look at this. Emerson back in 2020, roughly the same time period. Again, I try to be as close to late September as possible, but Emerson in 2020, in this same time period, it was D+5. Right now, they have Trump winning. Marist, it was D+9. Right now it's tied. Insider Advantage, D+3 back then. Right now it's R+2. Quinnipiac, D+8. Right now D+5. New York Times, a 5-point shift towards Trump. Suffolk, a 4-point shift towards Trump. CBS News, a 7-point shift. Trafalgar, 4-point shift. CNN, a 10-point shift. Every one of these polls have shifted towards Trump, and at the bare minimum by 3 points. So it's not just, oh, they shifted 1 point. Every poll in the RCP average has shifted at least 3 points towards Trump. Every single one of them. And most of them are shifting 4 to 5 points towards Trump. What does that tell you? That tells you that every poll is suggesting Trump is doing better right now than he did back in 2020. Now, does this mean that he's going to do 4 to 5 points better in Pennsylvania? I'm not saying that. But I find it fascinating that every poll is showing Trump doing, at the bare minimum, 3 points better in Pennsylvania, with the majority of them showing a 4 to 5 point shift. I find that fascinating. It's not just one poll that's part of a trend. No, it's every single poll that shifted like that. Every single one of them, including Trafalgar, including Insider Advantage, even Emerson, even New York Times. Again, we got to see what happens. I'm not saying that Trump's going to win Pennsylvania by 4 points or whatever, but you cannot tell me that this is a fluke, that nearly every poll, not just one of them, every poll is showing a 3 to 10 point shift in Pennsylvania for Trump, with the majority of them showing a 4 to 5 point shift. You cannot tell me that that's just a fluke, that's a one-off. If it was just a couple polls, fine. But it's every single poll showing a shift towards Trump, including the Republican favorable ones, like Insider Advantage. The ones that everyone says they're Republican biased or they're a Republican pollster or some BS like that. I mean, seriously, Insider Advantage back in 2020, the same time period, had a D+3. But right now, they found R+2. And even the Insider Marist, I should say, they found the race tied. CBS News tied. Washington Post, they found the race tied. So you're going to tell me that every poll is a right-wing poll now? I call bullshit. You cannot tell me that Quinnipiac's a far-right poll. That's bullcrap. All they found was Harris right now, at the same time period, she is doing worse than Biden. That's what they found. Same thing with the New York Times. Same thing with Suffolk. They could be right. I'm not denying that. But do you find it just a little bit odd that it's every poll finding this shift? Every single one. Not just one of them, not just two of them. Every poll is showing a shift towards Trump. We got to see what happens. It could be a fluke. It could be, oh, actually the polls overstate Trump this time. I guess that's possible. But the same polls that found Trump down by 15 points back in 2020, they now found Trump down by only 3 or 4. And they're clearly outliers. So who do I trust more? Insider Advantage, Emerson, even Trafalgar and CBS News? Or do I trust Quinnipiac, the New York Times, Suffolk, Franklin and Marshall? Who do I trust more? I'm going to go with Insider Advantage, Emerson, Trafalgar, CBS News, even CNN. I mean, like, you could argue it could go to Harris, fine. But a Harris +5 poll it's not feasible right now. That's not going to happen. She's not going to win Pennsylvania by 4 or 5 points. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.